RPG 그대로의 RPG 불멸의 전사 2.
What's up, guys? We're back, and we're going to be going into game number 3. Right now, CJ with a tremendous lead, but when you look at the lineups, it's definitely a situation where Jenner could bounce back.
Yeah, just looking at the pain on Crater and Hyun's faces, that's the reality of when you're not that experienced in Pro League. You play against two of the best carries, basically, for CJ Andis since last year. But now we're going into real Jenner territory. Two of the strongest Terrans. Cure could have been a finalist of the GSL.
Yeah.
Maru got knocked out of the Star Leagues early, but he's 10-0. He hasn't dropped a single map in the regular season, and Bunny's played a lot of TBTs. He's got a lot of games to study. I feel like this should be going to an ace match unless we have another upset here.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, Wolf. I think it would be, this is one of the most likely ace matches we've had as far as lineups go here tonight. But let's see what happens. Again, all CG has to do is take a game off. Here's Bunny right now. If Bunny could pull the rug out from under Maru, CJ gets out scot-free.
Yep, that's right.
3-0. That's huge.
They're on match point, so Maru has a lot of pressure on him. He's not the type of guy to ever crack under pressure. He's not going to die to a cheese, most likely, things like that. He's not going to mess up his control. He's very much, especially since he took that break when he got knocked out of the Star Leagues, he's been unstoppable. I mean, saying that a player is 10-0 is actually, in best of ones, like, you never messed up, you never got cheesed, you never died, like, you never lost a single game in 10 games of best of ones. That is insane. It's crazy. It's an incredible stat.
It's pretty remarkable when you consider that, in a best of one, anything can happen. So,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
To just not lose ever, it's like if you see somebody on the ladder and they're like 30-0 or 30-1, you're like, oh my God, you're doing that well against anybody.
It's almost like you have luck on your side too, or something. Like this is all.
You
this goes beyond
your
your
skill. To be doing perfectly. A lot of good players, they'll have, it'll be like 60-40 or something like that, because you're trying to overall play as consistently as possible. But when you see somebody 10-0, it's like, Jesus, man. Especially in matches like this, where they're against, in this case, Maru, against the very, very best in the whole world. Now, Bunny is the underdog here, but let's see. Maybe he's got an ace up his sleeve.
Yeah, he showed us some really cool TBTs in the past few weeks. Maru is 5-0 in the head-to-head, but I feel like because Bunny showed us a lot of cool TBTs and played some great TBTs, Maru has so much more to study and prep for going into this matchup. So I really favor Maru here, and
I don't think any sane person would disagree.
Yeah,
and
even
you can see our predictions. Everybody said Maru. But let's see what happens, man. CJ, again, guys, up 2-0. It's first of 3 wins. Jenner has to win every game from here on out. In the upper right, in the yellow, it's Bunny. And in the bottom left, in the green, the hope of Jenner, it's Maru.
That blank and expressionless face is what you've come to expect from Maru after years of commentating him, watching his games. The youngest StarCraft 2 player to ever succeed. His first opening match was defeating Sella, who was a popular streamer at the time in the GSL Open season.
Yeah, long ago.
On that crazy map, that 2-player map with the natural was so far away. I remember that. And he's been playing since the very first GSL, and he's still on top. 10-0, best record in Pro League, and you could see his influence on Cure's play when Cure played against TY in the GSL. A very decisive player, likes to make big movements. He's not the type of player who will do a lot of different kinds of harass. He's kind of like, all right, I know I'm ahead just 5%, and I'm going to make a push, or I'm going to do a big drop. He calculates in his head how far ahead he is and what moves he can make. And he's just very decisive. There's no indecision in his play almost ever, and that's why he's such a strong TBT player. He can see blood in the water, he can see weakness, and he knows when to strike. And I think that's really the strength of Maru, that some other Terrans just don't quite have that confidence.
Well, you know, Maru's style has never been necessarily that fancy. He's just very good at controlling his army. He's very good at pushing. He knows when to back up. He pretty much always holds his expansions. He's kind of like that ideal Terran. And, of course, his drop play is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
That does make him a little bit different from some players like TY, where TY is like so good at harass and so good at outmaneuvering. Maru just tends to win fights head on and come out on top, usually in the middle of the map.
He knows which fights are the fights to take. And I think that's a very tough thing to actually realize. Some players like Innovation every fight is good for them because their macro is so good that they always have an advantage. Whereas Maru knows even if he has a disadvantage, he will scan and he's like, but you're missing like a third of your army here, so this is the one fight I can take and I'm going to take it and then I'm going to get ahead, and that's how I caught up in this game. You can never count him out because he's just so decisive. He has no hesitation. So in this game, we have a CC coming up for Bunny, and Maru is being a bit more aggressive tech-wise.
Yeah, it looks like he wants to throw the first punch here. We'll see if Bunny is going to be prepared. Normally, whenever you have a new expansion, it starts out with a lot of aggressive builds, and it slowly phases into more macro openings. But Maru, in this case, saying that he's going to go with a bit more of an in-your-face style approach to try to take out Bunny early on.
It looks to be a Hellion Marine drop, which is pretty popular right now. Bunny is reactoring out Hellions, though, which are actually very good at defending Hellion Marine drops because the Hellions and Marines themselves are light units. Hellions do bonus damage to Hellions, and you're going to have them on the defense. So let's see if Bunny actually aggressively moves out.
Yeah.
Because if he's out of position, obviously this drop can do a lot of damage, and Maru can just kind of lift his natural, or not lift his natural, but cancel it if it's like a terrible situation. But he sees the Reaper come out. Reaper sees the CC is late, so this probably means Bunny can leave his Hellions at home for safety. Look at this, he's going to see everything in the main base of Maru, so he can be very prepared to defend.
Yeah, doing a good job here, damaging some of these SCVs. No kills just yet, now one.
Oh, that grenade doing some serious value. And look at this, he keeps the Hellions at home because he knows what he's up against. And this is going to be tough for Maru to actually really get a ton of damage done. The CC can just lift. Here come the Marines. He's going to come in.
Here we go. Yeah, and he cannot get up in there.
Yeah.
So he's going to back up. Now, he wants to get this Viking to try to hit this medevac over here. And if he can get rid of the medevac, that's going to be pretty huge because the Marines can't actually escape effectively.
Yeah, I mean, Maru is maintaining a concave at the bottom of the ramp and damaging this the CC, and more Hellions are rallying across. It's tough to break down a ramp with Marines at the bottom in an angle like this, actually. And the Viking is going to try to help the zone, but look at that, the Marines target it when it gets in range. And even if he brings the Hellions down, it's never going to be cost efficient versus this. So he's kind of just having to let this orbital lift.
So he's got to be careful. It looks like the Viking's going to come in here once again. And the Hellions are on the loose.
He's going to break down, and this will be a win for Bunny most likely in this fight, but it's just not going to be cost efficient. The orbital is burning meanwhile, and actually Maru's going to win this fight overall.
Yeah, he had that landed Viking at the bottom that actually soaked up some of that damage. The orbital is going to go down.
It's going to die.
This game is going to be short, sweet, hard to beat.
Yeah.
And all he needs to do now is target down that orbital, and that is mission accomplished. Bunny off to a horrible start as Maru is now expanding on his own.
Even, like I mentioned before, the concave, I'm like, well, the concave is always going to make it tough to break down, right? And Maru just kept sending every unit over, and he split perfectly. He was doing better AoE damage every single wave. Well, the Raven goes down as well. This is just like out of control right now. Bad for Bunny.
Well, it was an interesting play. Maru had the dropped.
Is he going to get that SCV? Sorry to cut you off, but I'm like,
no. I mean, the thing is, he had the landed Viking on the low ground, and I think that actually messed up the concave because he had the Hellions surround that, but then we saw some Hellion fire from Bunny shoot down towards the lower part of the ramp below where the concave was supposed to be set up, and when you have Hellions not all firing in the same direction and dishing out that extra damage, it can become problematic. So, the real surprise after it's all said and done is the orbital was actually killed off.
Yeah.
Normally you delay them from landing SCVs there, and they've lost some SCVs in the process. But Maru handled that really, really well, and now one scouting Hellion goes down. There will be some medevacs joining up with this army here from Maru to probably do an additional push. He scans there and sees the command center about 75% done.
That's the kind of moment where you look at that and it's like, Bunny, who's a pro gamer, a great TVT player, was so confident that he could break down. He's like, I could break down. I will send the orbital back. It'll even absorb some of the fire maybe, and that'll help me break down. But Maru is just so good. He's on another level. He's like, no, I break the rules. Like, you think you can break out here, you won't even get through. The Viking in perfect position, as you mentioned.
Now, this second attack is even more important because if he can force this to take off. Now, notice he identifies he has less Vikings, so he goes for the land. He's got siege tanks up, siege mode activating first here from Maru. A Widow Mine well placed. I don't believe he's in range of that siege tank. Oh, he must be because they're hitting each other now.
Well, these Hellions going to come over here and harass Maru's base. He doesn't have much of a defense. Meanwhile, so this could be an opportunity for Bunny to get back into this game if he can defend this orbital. A lot of SCVs going down. It looks like 8 in total, and he might even get some more here as the siege tank rallies down. Scan here will actually reveal that Widow Mine. 11 SCVs killed, and the Hellions escape, so...
yeah, nicely done there by Bunny. Now, Maru still has a worker lead, and these tanks are in a pretty good position here.
Nice scan while the tank was being repositioned there. And the orbital is getting low again, Tasteless.
Okay, he's going to try to snipe it when it goes into the air, and he's going to land these Vikings down here. But Bunny actually doing a good job, a brilliant hold. The orbital stays alive. He's going to repair that up, and that was a pretty big bungle there by Maru. Now, let's remember, guys, if Maru loses this game,
it's all over.
Then it's over. Today is actually done, and CJ is won with a 3-0. And that might have been the play that would cost Maru the game. He was a little bit too greedy. He lost a couple tanks back there. The tank count now in the favor for Bunny.
And now he needs to defend this Hellion follow-up push. I think he's going to be fine. He's got plenty of bio and 2 siege tanks here. He's been wiping out a Hellion immediately. He can repair his Vikings at home. He's down on Vikings, but if he repairs them and keeps them healthy, he's going to have Marine support for them. And we have Mech as the choice for Bunny. Not a very common strategy yet in TVT. We've seen it a few times, but he's going Blue Flame Hellion, just getting an armory out here, taking additional gases. And Maru's just going Tank Bio, which is the much more common composition right now, as he has Stim, he's got Combat Shields on the way, Concussive Shells finishing with that Stim at the same time. And it looks like he's just going to move out and use his more mobile army for a follow-up attack.
Yeah, Maru's just going to attack again. Now, if you're doing this while the player's in the middle of meching, it can actually work. If we saw Bunny going for a more normal bio ball, this would be unadvisable. But because he's coming down right now, this may be the opportunity that Maru needs. Again, Maru's last attack essentially a failure, but he's going to try to come in again here. Also important to note, supplies overall in the favor here for Bunny.
Oh man, a tank snipe right away. Hellbats here engaged as the armory does finish. Maru targets down both siege tanks, and here come the Vikings as well. A lot of bio here at the back.
And he's doing a good amount of damage. His Hellbat's soaking up a lot. But as we see the Stutter Step Micro come forward here, Maru continues to push up. And it looks like he can just barely get in range of that tank. He backs up. He might siege up and keep this position right back here. A misclick there. He doesn't pick up the tank in time.
Oh,
and
man.
did Maru just barely do it?
I think you're right. Look at Benny's face. I think he knows it's over. And this push will actually force another SCV pull. He's got one Hellbat in the medevac. It's going to get targeted down immediately. Another Hellbat down here. Doesn't matter. Maru's won the game. And there you have it. We will have a series here. Maru bringing us to game 4 with this victory.
Yeah, he's beginning to come forward here. He's going to have a siege position over this, and that's going to be it. GG! Maru beginning the comeback.
I think you really summed it up very well. Mech takes a long time to ramp up. And Maru, again, this is his decisiveness. He identifies, okay, you're going Mech. He's scanned so many times. It's cost him money. But every time he sees the comp, he's like, no, you don't have enough units. I just got Stim, Combat Shields, Concussive Shells, and I've got a few tanks with this. Even though he lost a tank right before the fight started, he's so confident. He's like, no, I can just barely kill this. I know it. This is my moment. I go now. And
it was really interesting because you see this moment where it's pretty clear that Maru had some engagements that were unfavorable, but he did identify if the mech player is only making out of the factory in the starport and Maru, the bio player, is making out of barracks factory in starport, he should always consistently have more. And there were never enough siege tanks due to the trading where Bunny had enough that it would just be unwise to come in. And part of that is siege tank medevac is so strong, but also he just knew when to stim in. He knew when to land his Vikings as well.
Yeah. Very clever plays. He got a big gritty on the second push trying to get that orbital, and I think maybe even mislanded or lifted his Vikings one time, but he just knew that there was a weakness, there was a hole there with the mech. It wasn't set up enough, and again, just I think showcasing how decisive Maru is in TVT.
Well, that was a good game. I mean, I don't think Bunny should be too beat up by that. I thought he really held his own there. But Maru is just such a strong player. Like we were saying, he always takes favorable engagements.
He's 11-0 now, so he will secure first above
That's right.
Zest. And if he plays in a potential ace match tonight, he could actually guarantee himself basically first place. So, I mean, 11-0, crazy stat. That's just we've seen stats like this very rarely in StarCraft Pro League, even in Brood War.
If Jin Air wins this next one, we're going to be going to the ace match. It'll be going to Game 5. Maru, I mean, props to Maru. He played very well. He looked very solid.
Yeah, absolutely.
But CJ could still pull the rug out from under Jin Air. I mean, it's definitely still a possibility. They just need to win one more game. Up next, it's going to be Ragnarok against Kjur. Ragnarok, a little bit of a cheesy player.
Yeah.
Is Kjur going to be ready for that? Kjur, nearly a GSL Codas finalist, by the way, for this last season, the one we just wrapped up.
He was a 2-time semifinalist. The first time he was in the round of 4, he lost to Innovation in Game 7. This time he got a bit more dominated by TY in the last season. But